Galomina. Today's Pes Mou podcast is made possible by our amazing sponsors. Our first Tier 1 sponsor, Gemean Corp, is known for their outstanding focused forensic discovery services. Please visit them at gemean.com. Our next Tier 1 sponsor is the Classic Car Club of Manhattan, who joins in inviting you to their Pier 76 Hudson Yards location on September 26th for a night of cars and cocktails. This fundraiser is being co-hosted by a HEPA Delphi 25 chapter, HACC, and Philo for Thought. We hope to see you there. Our Tier 2 sponsor is the fabulous Kilari Hospitality Group, and our Tier 3 sponsor is the globally renowned Tavia Sharp of Styled Sharp. We join in inviting you to our annual Fall Glendy on October 10th at Kilari Taberna, NYC for a night of music, signature cocktails, networking, and fun. We hope to see you there. Registration links for both events are available below, along with the additional information about today's guest speaker. Hi everybody, this is Christina Silbudas, CEO of Philo for Thought, and today I have with me Yianni Melas, who is our gem explorer, who is going to be on today's podcast. Hi Yanni, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Very good. So to give a little bit of background, Yanni has both a combination of creative and executive experience, and we're going to talk about this a little bit today for those of you who are branching out into multi or interdisciplinary professions. So Yanni, do you want to start us off with a little bit like your vision for this combination?
Well, let's start from the beginning, where the roots of where I came from. Greek island, I'm the Huckleberry Finn type of kid. I was basically without shoes, having a slingshot around my neck, and doing the things that you did back then when we had no TVs and no radios, nothing. And on the island of Rhodes, it was actually very, very primitive, but it actually allowed us to go with nature a lot more, which basically built a lot of my character for who I am today. It also helped me a lot with storytelling, because the storytelling at that time was every evening sitting around the table with Papu and Yaya, the grandparents, and having discussions and talking about the past, the war, different ideologies. And so storytelling became actually a part of everyday life, learning how to say stories and learning from the great storytellers, which were the grandparents. And so that's how it began. And then slowly, in years to come, I evolved. In 1974, I had to go to the U.S. and come to this new country, although I was born from a military family. Coming to the U.S. was, for me, culturally a very difficult thing, to be challenged by all the differences between the Greek and the American culture at that time. And New Jersey wasn't exactly a very good place to land. Simple things like putting your arm around a guy, got your nose broken. And simple things like in football, if somebody touched my butt, like they would smack you after you did a good play, and it would cause me to go after them, because we don't actually...
You don't do that?
We don't do that in Greece. In Greece, nobody touches each other's butt, So such opposite things. So it was very difficult for me to understand how putting your arm around somebody was bad and somebody touching my butt was okay. But anyways, the years passed. I adapted, and I was very, very proud of my Greek culture throughout. And I have to say, I really enjoyed the U.S. up to a certain time.
But Jersey has a big Greek community.
Not the place that I was at. I was in Cape May, and I was more in the south. And I was probably more involved in getting through school, because I could barely speak English when I first came. So I was basically learning how to learn English and catch up with all the other kids. So I wasn't much into the community. But I also learned a lot of things here. because back home I had some spending money from my parents, but when I came here with my auntie and my American uncle, I was taught that if you wanted to make money, you had to earn it. And so
Sure.
this was a welcome to American entrepreneurship,
I like that.
entrepreneurship at a very early age.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that that's actually a great thing because, kids here can have a car at 16, and I bought a car at 16, but it needed to be fixed. And then basically the lessons of life that nobody teaches you is having to go to junkyards and having to negotiate, for the parts and everything, and having to, find people that will paint your car and do the leather interior so you can make it new, so you can go on dates and not look
So it's
like
presentable,
a loser.
yeah. So you look
So there was two
presentable.
parts: studying in high school and at the same time working hard to have a car and make it presentable.
Mm-hmm.
And so those things taught me negotiations. It taught me how to get into underneath cars in junkyards and not be bitten by the rattlesnakes that were in Florida. When I moved there later.
Yeah.
And how to take things off and make things happen and put things together that back then there was no Google. So
It's true.
You
Yeah.
basically self-taught yourself.
Yeah. I wonder how they would do it today with the AI. That's
Yeah, that's it.
crazy.
Yeah.
So then tell us a little bit more, because also I know you've traveled a lot. You do
Yeah.
have like a hub in Montana, and you do like a lot of travel for your business.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Basically, like all Greek families, my mom wanted me to become a doctor or an architect or an engineer.
Me too.
And so I tried becoming a EMT fireman, and that went really well. I really enjoyed it, but then in the end I realized there was a lot of bloodshed. People were committing suicide in front of me, and lots of accidents, lots of fires that were as a person that was very I was very much involved, and I would say the word I couldn't get over when I would see things. I could see things that were bad, but then I would go to sleep and not be able to sleep,
It's like a PTSD kind of.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially for kids and
Yeah.
everything. I couldn't shut it off.
Yeah.
And I realized then that I was more of an artist. That yes, I loved doing all the saving and everything else, but it was leaving it was leaving things with me that I didn't like.
Yeah.
And I noticed that the other people that were the firemen could shut it off. They had that button that they could shut it off, go inside, start playing pool as if nothing happened. And I didn't have that button.
I'm sure it's not completely shut off, because we talk about that a lot at my other
Yeah.
job, but it's something. So the Greek mindset is a little bit more empathetic and more philotismos oriented.
Right.
So there's something around that, I think,
I
that
agree
makes
with
us
you.
see things a little bit more.
I agree with you, because I realize that especially with kids and family and parents, when I notice things like that, not so much with other people, but especially with families and kids, it affected me much more.
Yeah.
And I would definitely think that would be the empathy,
Yeah.
inside of me that was very strong. So, so then one day I said, you know what? Although I'm in med school and doing all these things, it's not for me. And so I then started selling insurance because I wanted to save money to be able to
Do your job.
actually pay for my school, which I actually wanted to become a gemologist. Actually, I wanted to become a jeweler, but the story comes later. So I went and worked in insurance. That's when I had to wear my first suits. And I became number 11 in the country, which was pretty good for a young kid in his 20s.
Right.
And and I learned how to read people when you come into the house and you have to sell somebody, whether they were numbers people or they just wanted to hear your story.
Yeah.
And they didn't understand numbers. And so I did really well. I mean, exceptionally well. But again, it wasn't for me. And when I raised enough money to go to school, got into a car, drove across America, came to the Gemological Institute of America in California. It was actually at that time Santa Monica. And I went to go attend the jewelry making school. Well, Mom nearly had a heart attack because in our culture, the people who failed school and failed were not academics. They became people that learned how to work their hands, became jewelers and plumbers and electricians. So this was, Mom was crying for 3 days. And since I'm an only child, that really affected me. So while I was there, I asked, what's this floor upstairs? And they said, it's gemology. I said, what's gemology? And then they said, it's a Latin word. I said, geology? No, it's gemo. It's Latin. And it means gems, study of gems. And I said, okay. And do I need this, to become, a good jeweler? And he says, absolutely. And so I called my mom and said, Mama, I'm going to study gemology. Of course, she answered the same thing. Geology? No, gemology, the study of diamonds. And Mom said, diamonds? Oh, that's good. And all her friends were around her because it was like a funeral during those 3 days. And so that's what happened was I ended up making Mom happy and taking the gemology.
That's good. So then tell us a little bit more how you tied that into your executive.
Yeah. So going pre-America, I was really I was more of a Huckleberry Finn type of kid. As I mentioned earlier, I was really going around with slingshots and going in the rivers, looking up for ammunition from World War II, digging up graves, all kinds of things.
Really?
And and my grandmother, so that it all ties in, my grandmother had told me a story where my great-great-grandfather he was actually Austrian. And his ship sank off the coast of Rhodes, and he then decided to live in Rhodes. But he was given a piece of sword from Napoleon that had been cut into 4 pieces, and there was arsenic inside. Because if Napoleon was to defend himself, the person would die. So that sword was kept wrapped in a box very carefully. And the reason he was given it to this ancestor of mine is because he was a general who fought with them, and they won the battle.
Oh my goodness.
And then when he took all his things from Vienna and brought everything else. Anyways, long story short, the sword in World War II is buried in the yard. And a bomb hit our house in World War II, and the garden, there was a huge crater. Thank God the family was in the catafillo, in the cellar. But everything that was in our family treasures basically got incinerated, including the sword. But she told me it was in the yard, and I started digging in the yard, and the sword wasn't there, but the crater brought there was tombs underneath that were from ancient Greece. And,
no way!
Yes,
oh my gosh!
So as a young boy, I was digging there and finding coins and ceramics and necklaces made from agate and different things.
That's insane.
So that was the beginning of the digging part, And then so going fast forward now, I'm a gemologist. I graduate top in my class, and I then I see something that was a label that was who wants to unpack the Sinkankas library, and this is where the artist becomes a little bit academic. The Sinkankas library was the biggest library in the world for gemstones, and so I volunteered for that, and I was the only one, and there was 4 other people that were librarians, but from the students it was me, and my job was to use a special copy machine and to catalog every single book. Now, this was a treasure trove for me. This was...
yeah, you must have
these
information
were
nobody
thousands
knows.
of books
Yeah.
that today you can't even access because they're in an archive.
Yeah.
And because I was volunteering, I could stay up until 1, 2 o'clock at night and go through them and photocopy whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And speaking Greek, a lot of the books were written in ancient Greek. So I started reading about treasures that were existing in different parts of the world where they were finding gems, all in ancient Greek.
Yeah.
And books that were like literally thousands of years old.
Yeah.
And so, that cataloging that library was almost the thing that got me going into the treasure hunting and everything else. It really exposed me to the world of gems all over the planet, because there was books from, some of the travelers that had written about Sri Lanka and gems in Sri Lanka, included all the names of the cities, the rivers, everything. Yeah, so after that, I did a lot of research. I worked in the library, and then they hired me as an instructor for 4 years.
Okay.
And one day, one very lucky day, I got to meet a gentleman who needed some help. I didn't know who he was, but it was Mr. Swarovski.
Oh,
Helmut Swarovski.
No way.
Yeah. So it's a little bit like The Alchemist. If you
Yeah,
read The
yeah, yeah.
Alchemist, actually my story is The Alchemist. It's exactly because the crystal guy was there, and Swarovski was the crystal guy. So I meet Mr. Swarovski, and he's looking for gemstones on synthetics. And I showed him the books, and then I said, why you don't cut gems which are natural and be proud of doing that? And he laughed and he said, well, I don't have anybody to do that. And I said, he didn't say it was the boss. I said, so how close are you with the boss, and what's your name? He said, Helmut. I said, what do you do? He said, I'm an engineer. And I said, well, go to your boss, tell him that you met a Greek guy, and that Greek-American guy, and that he could start the natural division for you for natural gems. And basically, that's what happened. He ended up leaving. He gave me the card. And then later I saw the card. It actually said Swarovski on it. And it was a bit sad because I'd also said, not thinking that he was the owner, when he asked my opinion about Zales, the jewelry company,
Right.
the American, I said that Mr. Swarovski must have been not very intelligent because he thought a company was going to go bankrupt, and that he should put all his assets in Liechtenstein because they're going to sue him.
Oh my gosh.
And then he said, how do you know that? And I said, because all the stores, the tops of the jewelry tops are all scratched, and my students are working there, and the floors are coming apart, the carpets are being torn, and there's no inventory. And so that's signs that the company's not
Doing well.
trusted, and it's not doing well. Swarovski bought that company to be able to put their crystals inside each store and have thousands of outlets to sell their crystal. Anyway, so I went back to the library, and back then they didn't have they didn't have Google, they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So all there was were these file cabinets where you had to make photocopies of all the magazines, articles, and file them based on.
Right.
And so there was an article on the very top that said the De Beers of rhinestones, basically the monopolists of rhinestones. Rhinestones meaning glass stones.
Yeah, of course.
And then it says Swarovski, $10 billion company. And I turned the page, and there was a picture of Swarovski. And
Did you fall
I
out
said,
of your shoes?
no, I was still stupid at that moment. I looked at it and said, oh my God, the engineer's in a good position with the family. So then I start reading left to right, right to left, and it was Helmut Swarovski, CEO of the company. Yeah, that was embarrassing. So he calls me a month later, and I said, Mr. Swarovski, and he started laughing. And he said, I actually didn't decide to buy the company. My cousin was involved, and he voted against me. And And I was really pleasantly surprised that a young man like you would know that the company's going down. And but anyways, I called because I'd like for you to come and do a project for 1 month for me. 1 month. I said, oh, I would love to. I said, what's the project? He said, go to India, go to the place where they cut all the CZ and find out what the lowest price is there so that we can put that price and basically have the machine cut,
Right.
Take over the
There.
hand cut.
Yeah.
And I did that. We went to the middle of nowhere, acting like buyers, found out what the lowest price was, came back, everything okay. But he had said 1 month project.
Right.
When I went to my boss, Mr. Bill Boyajian, who was the president of GI, to work for Swarovski for a month, he said, you can't because GI is nonprofit. You can't work for a profit company
Oh.
because then it would endanger the nonprofit part of the school.
Right.
And I ended up quitting, not knowing that I had a job. So Mrs. Swarovski is driving me now to the airport, and he doesn't know that I don't have a job, and he also doesn't know that I quit.
Oh my gosh.
And so he says, Yanni, I would love to hire you, but I feel guilty to hire you if you're working for an educational facility. And
Right.
I would feel bad taking
Right.
you away.
Right.
And I said, yeah, but Mrs. Swarovski, I'm not working for them. And
Right.
he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I couldn't come and work for you unless I quit because they're
Oh my
nonprofit.
gosh.
And then he smiled and he says, so then I can hire you with a clean conscience.
Yeah.
And he said, what do you want for your salary? And of course I was broke by then. And I said, Mr. Swarovski, whatever you want to offer me, I'll be happy.
Right.
And he gave me a great salary.
Yeah.
And so he said, you'll be my advisor, and you'll have your office right next to mine, and I want you to begin the Natural Gemstone Project. And that was the beginning of a 14-year relationship.
That's a remarkable story.
Yeah, 14
My
years.
goodness.
14 years, yeah. So I had, back then, to play both parts. I had to play the Indiana Jones, Indiana Yanni, as they used to call
Indiana
me.
Yanni.
Yeah. So I had to play that part, but also he would send me on assignments to China and different places where I would meet with big companies and a lot of times a lot of espionage to find out,
Is
prices.
it true? Is
Yeah.
it true there's a lot of like espionage like that between
Of
them?
course, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. Because a lot of the companies would be copying their patents, a lot of different things. So we would want to go in there and see which products they were selling, because then we would find out that they were using patents that were breaking the patents,
Right.
and they would not show that to just anybody. So you had to play the part of an American buyer, wear a suit, So yeah. So then how the part about being both a gentleman and a jungle guy at the same time came after lots of trips to Italy. And I started noticing that the Italians were really incredibly well dressed, and the Americans, their suits were, really in sad shape. And I spoke to one gentleman who was a suit connoisseur. He started teaching me about how you could recognize a handmade suit, sartoriale as they call it. And at that time I was making good money, and I said, I'll buy myself some really good suits. And I have to say that I've seen a lot of people with suits, and also, playing the wild guy too. Not everybody can carry that. I have to say that I was blessed from just birth to be able to carry both the side of being simple and also being able to wear an expensive suit and look like the part.
Yeah.
So during those 14 years, basically, I had to do a lot of suits and a lot of safari clothes and everything else, and play both parts. And and that's how it all came about.
Wow. So then, tell me a little bit the role that you prefer more, the adventurous and creative or the executive?
I can't say I enjoy one more than the other. I think the reason is there's a part of me that is, of course, my family was from Texas, so I'm part cowboy, but that doesn't say anything. I also grew up in Florida, in the swamps and all those places, also in the Greek Isles, so there's definitely a side of me that is more country, and I like that part. But I also enjoy wearing the suits just to be able to show to people that I can. So I've been master of ceremony of a lot of events for the government of India.
Oh, yeah.
Not just for small events, but the government of India wanting to have somebody that could organize their big global diamond and jewelry events. They reached out to me and asked me to be the master of ceremony and the organizer. So in those events, I had to wear my suits, and that was really great because all the people that knew me as a person with a cowboy hat or a baseball hat or whatever, a bandana, when they saw me with the suits, it also kind of changed the way that they looked at me. They realized that if I wanted to, I could wear it. And it was just by choice that I didn't wear my suits all the time. So when they saw me in this suit, if I could say, it allowed me to be more down to earth, and people not to look down on me because I wasn't wearing suits or something.
Right.
They knew that if I wanted to, I could. I just didn't want to.
I feel like just people judge on appearance a lot, and so they'll look and see. Maybe we could shift them towards more what you would advise young professionals today who have that duality within them also, like how to make sure they're making the right impression, because you're like an intellectual person, but you're also doing a lot of things that are like hands-on, and that's just you're able to do both. But there are a lot of young people out there who they're just starting out, and they have maybe folks at home who don't understand what they're doing or don't approve of it or whatever the situation is, And so we try, as I was explaining before we started the interview, we try to give that Aristotelian approach with that parea that helps to like fill the gap for them and put them on track to what they want.
I got some advice from my grandfather, my papu, before I left for America. He said, when with a king, become a king. And when with a shepherd, become a shepherd. Never a shepherd with a king, and never a king with a shepherd. What that basically says is that whoever you're with, you have to basically come down to their level and learn how to communicate at their level and never try to show off and be arrogant or anything. So I would say that through my travels, I got a lot of criticism initially by people who did not know me, by me consistently wearing my torn jeans and T-shirts and sleeveless arms and looking like Indiana Jones. But what happened is I did something very strategic. I would go to events where I would wear my Indiana Jones clothes, but then on an event that required a suit, I would go and bring my suit out and wear it on that day, just one day,
Right.
Just to show people that that I was that businessman as well. And it wasn't just a cheap suit. When I came out, everything from my Bali shoes,
Right.
Everything that I was wearing was really top notch, and people could feel that this wasn't just this was, another side of me. And what happened is during that time when you wear a suit, your personality changes too. You become actually the part of the suit.
True.
And when you're wearing more peasant, more Indiana Jones clothes, you become simpler too. So what happened is people start seeing me both sides, and then slowly, I would go to these events which were black tie, and I'd still show up looking like Indiana Jones, and after a while, nobody said a word, and actually everybody wanted to make a photograph, and basically now I'm part of that group, and I remember just recently I wore a suit and they told me to go back upstairs and change because they wanted to make photographs with the real Indiana Yanni. And the suit wasn't that the person that they identified that they wanted in the photograph. So they wanted to be able to tell their friends that they were with the guy that goes out to the jungles and everything else. So so that was really interesting because I thought by wearing a suit I would come down and kind of, but at that particular thing, when the industry accepted me for being who I am, then they didn't want me to change, and they wanted me to be just who I am. So
it's true. It's hard sometimes to break through. Like I understand the suit mentality and like why that was a need, because that's like the expectation. But I'm glad that you're a great role model and example of the person who was able to break through with like your actual brand, that now you're comfortable being able to go with, your attire rather than the more standard uniform.
And I think I will continue to have my suits for different occasions, especially when I organize events, big events. But now, since I'm now, well, listen, this is also a lesson for everybody to learn, that I went into gemstones to be part-time. And then what happened is the world, the tropics, Burma, Vietnam, Botswana, Madagascar, India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Zimbabwe, all these different places, traveling to all these places for gemstones sucked me in. And so although I was an artist who loved to design jewelry, the side of me which was adventurous and a sponge for cultural, differences in each tribe and everything else, that really sucked me in. And only now at 63, after an injury which I had in Indonesia, I basically said, you know what, I will continue to do this, but not hardcore like I used to, and I need to fulfill the side of me which was my original dream. And so it's very interesting that at 63 you have to find the energy, which I have to say is challenging, because I have lived a very, very full life, and I've put all my energy into the gemstones and creating this image of Gem Explorer. And now all at once to start from A, and to dig in myself and find the young guy who's got all the energy and everything else to launch a new jewelry company. That's really challenging. And I think what allows me to do that is my daughter, knowing that she's 8 years old, and that by doing so, that I'm able to build something, maybe not complete, but a foundation for her to take over if she chooses to. So that's it. And so another reason that I didn't go into the jewelry was also because I was an activist for human rights. And when my daughter was younger, she was ill, and I made a tama that if God saved her from the sickness, that I would do everything I can to help, kids around the world. And that tama I made until 60. And so, of course, God stepped in and saved my daughter almost a day or two after I made the request, which I found very interesting, considering that for 2 months she was very, very sick. And then I went on a hunger strike for 31 days, no food, only water. And then I realized that you can't, if you're doing things that have to do with helping people and doing, works that have to do with activism, you can't be doing a hunger strike and then next week saying, buy my bracelet or buy my jewelry. I felt like it was a conflict of interest. So that's when I said, finally, at 60 years old, I said, I've paid my dues. I've been fighting for human rights all these years. And I said, now it's time for me to fight for my family.
Right.
And this is where I'm at right now. And I'm actually very excited. But at the same time, I'm also very tired of having to start at this age.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people have a lot of energy and everything else. They can continue and everything else, but they haven't had the life that I've had. My life has been actually full to the utmost full. And this was a time I'm supposed to be in the Greek islands eating my calamari and simiako veridaki, the little shrimp, and be relaxing. So I am able to reach in deep and pull that side of me that will make it happen. And perhaps once it starts, then it'll be much easier for me to get it going.
I mean, I feel like the year one, the ground level, when you're doing something is the key. I personally, from my experience of having had my career path and everything, and then starting the nonprofit at a time where I should have been like winding down or settling into a different kind of life. I'll tell you, I had that experience as well, and you really do have to dig deep, and you have to learn to meet another kind of person around you and to appreciate the world around you in a different way.
Yes.
And it's God granting you, I guess, that privilege.
Yeah, I think me going from activist explorer to capitalist, where you really have to build a brand, you have to start looking at numbers and thinking about jewelry boxes and thinking about, but I think I also do not envy the companies, the big companies that have 500 employees and the CEO has to deal with all the decisions.
Yeah.
I'm going to start this company in a small way, an organic way, so that I enjoy it. And if my kids in the future want to take it to the next level, that'll be up to them. But I'm definitely going to start in a very organic way. And I have to say I'm very privileged because I have one of the main parts of the jewelry is the gems.
Yeah.
And these gems I know everything about, and I think people are very excited to see my collection finally.
Yeah, especially so what we're going to do is, as I mentioned before the interview, we're going to include your Instagram with the links to everything so that people can see a lot more of your work.
Yeah.
And we also, we're going to wrap up in a second. But I do want to thank the team at Clarita Verma because I wouldn't have met you otherwise. I'm there, and I'm so glad that I met you there.
Stavros is my brother.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not my real brother, but he's my brother. He's my family.
Yeah.
And when we know each other more than 40-something years, and I have to say that he's been really amazing. And when people ask me if I have family in New York, I say yes, I do. I have a brother, and he has a restaurant called Kelaria on 44th, and he says the same thing about me, so we really love each other. And actually, I have to say that he has helped me gain drive because he's older than me, and he's so excited about opening up new restaurants. And
he's always had energy like that. I don't know, like I said before, God grants it. God grants it. That
but isn't it interesting that when you see somebody that's like that, it also helps you to gain the courage to drive yourself, because you see a person that is, that has worked in the restaurant business all his life, and you would think he would retire, and he's not the type.
But it takes a mindset also. You have to want to see it. If you don't want to see it, if you're a kind of defeatist energy person, you don't see it, or you're just like, oh, well, that's that person, they're special.
Right.
And he is, and you are, right? But you have to want to be able to see it. So like the young professionals who are listening to the podcast, for example, they have to want to have this life for themselves.
Absolutely.
And they have to want to go explore their path.
Yes.
But some are taken down by fear, some are taken down by peer pressure and other factors, some are taken down by really harsh like family financial issues and things like that, situations. And it's important to be able to have that strength to fight through,
Yes.
which is why I love the beginning of your story where you're saying, from the humble roots.
Right.
And a lot of us at Feel for Thought also start with humble roots, and we built our way up.
Absolutely.
So it's good to have that story for the next generation to...
And I have to end with something else that my papu said. He said, when you're great at something, talk about it.
Yeah.
When you are really bad at something, talk about it. So always, whenever I've been great about something, I always say it, but I always first start with my quote so they don't think that I'm egocentric. But also, I'm like, if I'm not very good at computers and all these things, and I always tell people, and they always laugh, because people should know what your strengths are. But he also taught me one more thing. He said, when somebody's bad, talk about them. When somebody's good, talk about them. And that was Papu's way to say, you know what, when people are bad, don't let them get away with it. Other people should know that they're bad so that nobody steps into the trap of working with those people.
Well, we try not to fall into gossip also.
Right.
But I agree with you. It's important to kind of protect, especially your own.
Yes.
So there's a lot of people, when we set up our mentoring, for example, I only have certain people who are mentors to the young people who come to us, because you have to vet them. You have to make sure they're reliable. You have to make sure everything's going to be above board. You have to make sure they know this is a professional thing. It's not like a socialization or a dating service or any of these
Absolutely.
things. We have now our terms and conditions,
Yes.
which our legal advisor is also Yanni. I hope you're going to meet him soon at one of our events. But so it's something we take seriously. And so why do we take it so seriously? Everybody says, "Oh, you're like the mama bear of the community." I say, "Yeah, but that's because we want to protect our young people and let them grow strong."
I think mentorship. I have almost 57,000 followers, and most of them are young people all over the world. And I try to answer everybody's question about anything.
Yeah.
I've discovered the first gemstone in the 21st century. I've discovered so many gems.
Yeah.
And people really look up to me as a mentor.
Yeah.
And I'm very good at reading people and helping them out and everything else. But I have to say that, somebody once said, when many, many years ago, he says, when you take your last breath, you shouldn't have any regrets about anything.
I agree.
Whether you cheated or you did something bad. Because when you're taking your last breath, you're thinking about where you're going, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the driving force for me more than anything else is I don't want to take my last breath and not have achieved what I wanted to achieve when I was a young kid, and that is to have a jewelry brand. I want to be able to have that jewelry brand so that when I do take my last breath, I can say that I did everything I dreamed of.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to end on that one.
Sure.
And I'll take you
Thank you so
downstairs
much.
to the
I
library.
really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Yanni. Galomina. Today's Pes Mou podcast is made possible by our amazing sponsors. Our first Tier 1 sponsor, Gemean Corp, is known for their outstanding focused forensic discovery services. Please visit them at gemean.com. Our next Tier 1 sponsor is the Classic Car Club of Manhattan, who joins in inviting you to their Pier 76 Hudson Yards location on September 26th for a night of cars and cocktails. This fundraiser is being co-hosted by a HEPA Delphi 25 chapter, HACC, and Feel for Thought. We hope to see you there. Our Tier 2 sponsor is the fabulous Kilari Hospitality Group, and our Tier 3 sponsor is the globally renowned Tavia Sharp of Styled Sharp. We join in inviting you to our annual Fall Glendy on October 10th at Kilari Taberna, NYC for a night of music, signature cocktails, networking, and fun. We hope to see you there. Registration links for both events are available below, along with the additional information about today's guest speaker.